Hi, Moose. This is Ashley Rosanova. I'm with TWM News, the Wrestle Movement. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Good. I'm glad to hear. I just want to say it's an honor to speak with a prestigious and phenomenal athlete like yourself.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. Going into Slammiversary, how's your mindset? I know, you have, some of the best ring entrances during Slammiversary and Bound for Glory. How are you feeling about this year's Slammiversary?
You talking about entrance wise, or you just talking about in general?
All in general, Moose.
It's like I tell people all the time. It's business as usual. It's just another day at the office. I don't. I'm not one of those guys that look at the name of a show and is like, oh, I got to do so much better this show. I'm the type of guy that at every show I step into, I give 110%. So this just happens to be Slammiversary, so it's business as usual.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as you have one of the most inspirational stories. From what I've learned about you. Throughout the years is that before you went into the NFL, you had a tough upbringing. For people that don't know much about you yourself, Moose, how would you go about it, introducing yourself or even, providing any words of inspiration?
Um, just from what I went through personally, I would say never chase the money, chase the passion. And my upbringing from the NFL to now professional wrestling, I was one of those guys who early on in my career I was chasing the money. Like the NFL paid so much money um, where I felt like it was all about the money until I realized I didn't love it and it was ruining my life and it was very stressful day in and day out. So I figured it was time to actually go chase that passion of mine, something I wanted to do as a kid, which was professional wrestling.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say you're probably one of the best, in ring performers I've seen. You know, you do amazing stuff. I mean, your Spanish fly is, very precise. It's on point. It's always looks good, when you're in that ring.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as, I always like to touch base, about fundamentals, when it comes to pro wrestling. For anyone, in the future, that, as well as growing up, looking up to you, what are Moose's fundamentals, when it comes to professional wrestling? What advice could you give to anyone up and coming or, your future, you know, fans or, what anything, in the future?
Honestly, what I'm going to say, I actually learned from Scott Demore. He always used to say this all the time. I'm sure he still says this to all his students: is we always got to focus on working on the little things, and that's what makes you actually good at professional wrestling. It's not the moves. It's not anybody can go out there and learn how to do a Spanish fly, but can you get a proper headlock? Does it take you 3 steps before you hit the rope? Stuff like that. So it's definitely the little things is what matters most. And that's what I would tell young upcoming wrestlers is focus on the little things because once you get those little naggy little things that you don't even think about that needs help, then you're always going to learn the moves, the big moves. That's the easy stuff.
All right. I agree with you. It's the little things I think that people, those little details that actually bring in that in ring psychology. That chemistry between two opponents, or even if you're having a tag match as well.
Right. Yeah. Right. 100% right.
Yeah, perhaps, like I said, I completely agree with you. As far as, you've been a wrestling fan, and of course, now you are in the industry and probably one of the biggest promotions that has been around for quite some time. Who inspired you, as far as, growing up in pro wrestling? Who did you look up to, or did you, who basically, inspired you to go and chase this passion and this dream of yours?
Oh man, if I had to sit here and name every wrestler, we'll be here for 30 minutes. Just know I've been. It's hard for me to just pick one because there's so many. But I've been a huge fan of professional wrestling since I was 10 years old. Actually, younger, 8 years old. So, I mean, you got to think about all the wrestlers I watched growing up, from the Flairs to the Steamboats. I mean, it's just so many, man. The JYD. I could sit here and name. I'm just a huge fan of professional wrestling. And that's just American wrestlers I just named. We haven't gone to like Japan, um, England, British wrestling. Like I'm just a huge fan for wrestling.
Yeah, that's great because I can definitely tell you have a lot of different inspirations in the ring. I can see some Canadian wrestling influence there. I can definitely see a little bit of lucha libre. I can see some Japanese strong style in your move set as well. um, I can definitely tell that you are a fan of just pro wrestling in general. It's not just based off of just American wrestling, or Puro in Japan, or even Brit Rest. So,
Right.
as I can definitely see, as far as when you enter the ring, I can definitely see where you got some Ric Flair in there as well. With the robes and your entrance. It's a very strong entrance. So going into Slammiversary, how do you feel about your opponent this year?
Saban obviously is a great competitor. He's one of a few Impact World Champions in the history of the company, and I feel like a lot of people don't realize that. Like, I'm going against a former Impact or TNA heavyweight champion. And my track records of what I've done with former champions of what I've done to them, but nonetheless, I have a lot of respect for Chris Sabin, and I have a lot of respect of what he's accomplished and his skill set. But I mean, there is only one wrestling god in Impact Wrestling, and that's me.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Impact. Yourself. I will definitely say, in the future, you would definitely be. I would consider you definitely, a Hall of Famer for the company, and you deserve to be a long-term champion. I can definitely see you, hopefully, getting those belts back, from Kenny Omega, and providing a really long, solid title run. It's, I think it'll be great. Hopefully, I'm not sure how you feel, but I think you can do it. Definitely.
That's what my plan is. My plan is the one bringing the title back to Impact Wrestling. And sometimes I might not be the guy like the fans want, but I'm definitely the guy the fans need to bring to secure those titles and bring it back home.
Yeah, I think you can do it. I'm sure Impact Nation, the fans, I think they're completely supportive because, as an Impact fan, I want those titles to come back home as well.
Yeah, it will. I mean, it definitely will. You just gotta keep watching, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, and it's not a matter if you can. I think when you actually get those titles back, I think you're gonna be definitely, you are one of the faces of the company, and I think you will be the face of the company, because you deserve to be a long-term champion.
Yeah, and that's the game plan. So I just got a little gnat on my back that I gotta deal with Chris Sabin, and then once I'm done with that, then it's back to the goal at hand.
Is there anyone that you look forward to facing in the future? We definitely clarified you were going to get those titles back from Kenny, and it's just a matter of when. But anyone that you think that can face you, Mr. Impact, the wrestling god of Impact?
I'm always open to any challenge. I feel like me naming guys will be below, in no disrespect, below me. I mean, that's questions you have to ask them. Am I a guy who they would like to wrestle? I'll say that I'm open to any challenges. Um, I would never turn down a fight. But also be smart because you never don't want to pick a fight with a wrestling guy because it might not go in your favor, you know. So I'm definitely open to anybody, and once I get done with Chris Sabin, putting my focus 100% of my focus to getting the Impact World Title and my TNA World Title back.
Yeah, yeah, you're gonna get both of them back. It's just a matter of when. We're just gonna wait and watch. And like I said, I believe that you can do it. As far as any nutrition advice, I know you're big on fitness. That you can any advice you want to give as far as anyone that's going to listen to this interview or your fans.
The biggest advice I could give anybody is consistency. Whatever plan that you get on, you just have to be consistent. The nutrition advice, the reason why people struggle with it is because people tend to do it for 2, 3 days or 4 days or a week or two, and they get tired of it. It's too hard, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going back to what I used to do." But consistency is a big key word. Just stick to it, and it might suck, but once you get through that first month, and the rest is easy.
As far as do you ever have any cheat meals or anything that you enjoy eating that that's not part of your diet?
Oh yeah, I get a cheat meal once I mean, but the diet I'm on is not very hard. Like the guy that I'm working with, a good friend of mine, AJ Sims, Cement Factory. He's not like the meal plan he gives me is very, very, very doable, and it's easy to be consistent on it because you do get a lot of uh, I won't say cheat meals, but um, a lot of meals that somebody wouldn't mind eating once a week or twice a week or whatever it is. So, but to answer your question, I do get a cheat meal once every few weeks, maybe 2, maybe 3 weeks. All depends on what I'm getting ready for. If there's a pay per view coming up, if there's a TV tapings, that all isn't tied to when I get a cheat meal.
Gotcha. Um,
Best believe I will be having a real big cheat meal after Slammiversary and these necessities.
well, as far as we've gone over what influenced you in pro wrestling. We've gone over Slammiversary. Does
Oh,
oh
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Boosted. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Is there anyone that inspires you in life, outside of pro wrestling?
Inspired. Yeah. Definitely. I would just say the biggest inspiration I have right now is The Rock. I mean, if you think about it, The Rock is he's the one that achieved the most out of professional wrestling. So if he's not inspiration to everybody in pro wrestling, then I don't know what to say. I know he's definitely my inspiration. If I could pick one guy who accomplished where I would want to get to, it's definitely him. He's been at the top of the level in the wrestling game, and now he's at the top of the level in the acting game. And everything he puts his hands on, like his movies and his TV show and his monster, his energy drinks. Just anything he touches now is gold. So that's definitely inspiration to me. And that's one of the things that helped me work as hard as I do every day. And yeah,
All right. Well, that's great. I think The Rock is, an inspiration to us all, just how much he's accomplished, in different industries, not just pro wrestling, all of entertainment,
right.
everywhere. But yeah, so we, as far as, I know you were a previous before, I really missed that belt, the grand championship. I want to say you were a two-time champion.
Yeah.
You know, what was your favorite time of that run?
Uh, I would say if I was to pick a time during that run, probably the time the feud I had with Drew Galloway. Was he? Is that what it was called in Impact? I think it was Drew Galloway.
Yeah.
The feud that I had with him during that run was pretty fun. Drew was a spectacular wrestler, probably one of the best wrestlers in the world. And, I had so much fun working with him. We'll see. Professional wrestling is like a revolving door, so maybe down the road sometime we'll get to touch each other again. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. Anything is, possible. Everything, a lot of things in pro wrestling, they tend to change, every year.
Yeah,
Or, like I always say, the more things change, some things just stay the same as well.
yeah.
So, we'll definitely see. I know you did wrestle, Kenny and at AEW at Daly's Place. Is there, you know, is there any how exactly how do you feel being that you were so close to getting those titles back?
Uh, eh, what I mean, it is what it is. Honestly, I haven't thought about it. Like, I'm not gonna shame myself on regret of what happened because I put in 110% in that match. But I mean, he just had more people on his side than I did. Maybe I need to get a group of 3, 4 guys to always back me up when I wrestle. Maybe I'll more win more matches and win more championships that way. But I'm old fashioned. I like to do it. I might be the bad guy, but I like to do it my way and solo. I'm the guy that doesn't. I don't want a partner. If I'm gonna do something terrible, I would rather do it myself than let have 2 people do it for me. But everybody don't think like me. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. I haven't thought about it, and I'm not shamed or disgraced. It's just as a learning, as a lesson that I learned, and I'm sure if I ever wrestle Kenny, it will be a different outcome.
Yeah, and that's, I've, you know, either either way how anyone, may perceive you throughout, your career at Impact, either if you're a good guy, bad guy, face, heel. I will say, you are definitely not one to use cheating tactics. You're not really one to play, have other people, play dirty for you. I can definitely say that. You've always, my opinion, at least, that's very honorable in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, uh, I do things differently. I mean, am I considered a bad guy? Am I considered a heel? Sure, whatever. But I know one thing I'm never going to do. I'm never going to let somebody do the dirty work for me. I'd rather do the dirty work myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, that definitely shows, what a hard worker you are as well. Uh, Other than that, Moose, it was great. I enjoyed talking to you. I've enjoyed watching you perform since you debuted. Was there anything else you wanted to say as far as to the Impact fans or your fans or Moose Nation?
Just tune into Slammiversary next weekend, next Saturday,
All right, Slammiversary. You always
9 days away.
yeah, you always put in your 110% in any performance you do.
Yeah, and I plan to put in 110% in Slammiversary.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure talking to you, Moose.
Same here.